Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar for the upcoming Estonian tax changes for the next year. Let me welcome our opponents that are Ignacio and Pablo. And please remember that if you have any questions, to forward them to us from the Q&A button that you have down on the screen, and I'll just leave the floor now for Ignacio and hope you all have a great time.
Thank you very much, Alex. Well, my name is Ignacio. I'm the CEO of Companion, here today with Alex and also with Pablo, which is our fiscal tax advisor from Spain. And the purpose of the webinar today is to give you a heads up on the latest changes in the fiscal system in Estonia, the tax changes, VAT, etc. And also to show you how Companion will help you navigate through these changes in the most comfortable way. So you are prepared when these changes arrive and they're not so dramatic, so to speak. So okay. So I already mentioned who we are. So what we're going to talk today, first of all, the corporate income tax updates. There are many changes coming in. Some of them in different will be enabled at different times. So we will talk about first the corporate income tax updates, then the VAT changes, and there is a new security tax, a new tax called security tax. So we will talk about it. It's still in the works. So we will share all the information we know. And last but not least, how our platform can support you, as I mentioned, to navigate through all these changes in the less dramatic way possible. And also, most importantly, we're here to answer your questions. So at the end, make sure, as Alex mentioned, to write your questions down in this Q&A button that you got at the bottom, and we will be answering them at the end of the session. So first, the corporate income tax changes. These changes will take effect. They will be effective starting January 2025, so right next month. And if you probably know that the corporate tax right now, the corporate income tax in Estonia is 20% of gross. And this is important to mention this of gross, because usually in other countries, when you speak about taxes, you speak about the net tax. So you pay X amount or you distribute X amount in dividends, for example, and then you are subject to a taxation of a percentage, right? In the case of Estonia, this is gross, so you have to think the other way around. So if, for example, 20% means that 20% gross means that if you distribute 8,000 euros in dividends, you pay 2,000 euros because the total is 10,000 euros, and of those 10,000 euros, 8,000 euros, which is 80%, is the amount of profit that you get that gets to your pocket, and this 20% is the tax, right? So that's 20% of gross of the total, and this corporate income tax is going to increase from 20 to 22 right now in January. So that will be 22. That means that the distribution will be 22 to 78%. And so you can kind of have an idea of what that means in practical terms. If you distribute before, right, up until now, if you distributed 100,000 euros, you will pay 25,000 euros in taxes because 125,000, the 20% of that is 25%. With the changes, if you distribute the same amount, so you get this 100,000 euros right in your pocket, instead of paying 25,000 euros, you will pay 28,205 euros, right? So it's not a very significant difference, but it's there. 3,205 euros difference. So how can Companion or platform can help you? Of course, we have already prepared the change in the tax rate. So as soon as the 1st of January, if you do your invoice your first invoice of the year, we will apply this new tax automatically. As always, we send you the payment reminders, and our team will calculate the amount of tax that you need to pay and send you a payment reminder, so you don't need to worry about that. And of course, this is going to be incorporated into the annual report tool that you probably know if you are our customer by now. So everything will be integrated there, and when we calculate the tax that you have to pay for the distribution of dividends, in case your company has profit and you want to distribute dividends, that will be automatically added there. So no need for you to do any extra work or calculations. Let's go now with the VAT changes. This will be effective January 2025. Oh, yes, 1 second. Maybe it's 2025, January. I'm not sure if this is January or it is July. It is July 2025, if I'm not wrong. Maybe there's a typo in the slide here. Okay. Maybe someone can confirm that. Pablo or Alex. But I think this
I'm
should
not
be.
sure. I'm not sure neither.
Okay. So let me
Hi,
check that.
Ignacio. Yeah, it's July.
It's July, right? So this is
yes, it's July.
it should be
Yeah.
July. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Miguel. So effectively, yes, this VAT changes will not happen right away in January. They will happen in July. So we have some more time to prepare. And what is this VAT change? You know, VAT is a tax that is added to every product or service that you sell to EU customers. It applies to European and the European Union customers. So far, the VAT rate right now in Estonia is 22%, but from July 2025, it will go to 24%. And that mostly affect you if you are selling to the EU, to EU customers, and you are VAT liable. If you have a VAT number, you will have to increase your VAT, the invoice, effectively the VAT rate that you apply to 24%. And this is kind of happening in Europe. So Estonia is not the only country to have increased the VAT recently. So this is kind of aligned with the European trend right now. If you don't have a VAT number, you will not really have to adapt to any change, right? But it's something to keep in mind. And again, how can Companio help you to navigate this change? Well, we have our smart invoice generation tool, so this will be applied automatically to the tool. So the tool will choose 24% VAT if the invoice issue date is from the 1st of July 2025 onwards. And if it's before that, it will apply 22%. So you can still, because you can have an invoice in July, but the issue date of that invoice for some reasons is in June, for example. So the system will automatically detect that and apply the right VAT. Also, or in case of there's a mistake or for some reason the grown VAT is applied, we will have a compliance monitoring process during especially the first months, June, July, and August, just to make sure that all the invoices that we are processing and we are incorporating in the books, in the bookkeeping, are correct. And of course, you know that the smart invoice generation tool also has a real-time VAT calculation, and you can also check the VAT numbers of your clients to see if they are current. So all of that is covered. And this is something new, the security tax introduction. This is something that has never applied to the Estonian tax system. So it's a new introduction. And this is going to be effective from January 2026, so not in 2025, the next year. And it's going to be temporary, just two years initially, from January 2026 to the end of 2028. And what is this security tax? The security tax is the motivation behind this tax is to, the consequences of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So it's a way of keeping up with this preparation that the EU is right now accomplishing in case of some kind of threat from Russia or some other country. So what this does this mean in practical terms? It's a 2% tax, and it applies on corporate profits. This is similar to other countries. So probably you are used to this kind of tax. It's something that is calculated based on the profits. Initially, this is going to be a quarterly tax. So that means that after 1 quarter has passed, you will pay a small percentage of tax, 2%, on the profits of the previous quarter. So imagine if it's quarterly, January, February, March, on April, you will pay 2% of the profit of the previous quarter. And this is profit, not revenue. So that means that it's revenue minus all the deductible expenses. So you have 100,000 euros in revenue and you have 50,000 euros in expenses. The difference, the profit, is 50,000. So you will pay 2% of 50,000, right? Not of the whole revenue. And we still don't know for sure if this is going to be applied quarterly or annually. So we are still, the tax office and the authorities are still discussing this. So we still don't know, but as soon as we know, we will let you know. So for example, let me give you an example. Let's imagine that this is applied quarterly, and during the year you have this profit, right? Profit, not revenue. 30,000 in the first quarter, 20,000 the second, 10,000 the third one, and 40,000 on the last quarter of the year. The amounts that you will pay will be 600 euros in tax for the first, 400 for the second, 200 for the third, and 800 for the last one. So for a total profit, again, profit of 100,000 euros, you will pay 2,000 euros, which is not much. It's a small tax. It's really a small amount, right? It's there, and it's not something positive, but it's not really that big, and it's going to be temporary. So that's the thing to keep in mind. In order to support this, we will include in our platform a quarterly payment forecasting, so you know exactly how much profit you have during the previous quarter, and you know how much you are going to pay for this security tax every quarter. And of course, we will include payment reminders for you, so you don't forget to pay them as you're doing now with the TSD or the VAT taxes, in case you're paying them on a certain month. And also, we will include everything in this cash flow planning tool that we have. We are now integrating in the dashboard, so you know exactly what's the profit, what's to be paid at the beginning of the next quarter. So no worries about that. Just to mention the key features that we are implementing. Automated tax rate updates, so the VAT and everything, we will take it into account for our tools and everything. Of course, these tools will be integrated in the invoicing and the reporting tools that you already know. The VAT management system, as always, you can check if your providers or customers have valid VAT numbers, and the VAT will be applied, the right VAT will be applied depending on the issue date of the invoice. And we will include this new security tax calculator, so you know exactly how much you have to pay. And so with all these changes, the question will be, is Estonia still a competitive option if you want to run your business online, etc.? And for me, the answer is a resounding yes, because first of all, Estonia, the emphasis in Estonia, as you know, is the digital first approach. So it allows you to do everything online. That's really amazing. And there's low bureaucracy, so you know everything can be done online and in a short amount of time. Even with the inclusion of this 2% security tax, the tax system is very, very competitive. If you compare it to other tax systems in Europe, especially in Europe or in civilized countries, it's super competitive yet. And above all, it's a very transparent tax system. So you are not having your company in a kind of a tax haven or some kind of shady administration, right? And it's interesting that Estonia is still investing in the future. So we have this announcement recently of a carless e-residency option, so that there will be no more e-residency card. Everything will be done as you do now with Smart ID through your phone, which is much more convenient. And this I already mentioned. The idea here is that we are making sure that when these changes happen and are effective, you have all the tools ready for you in the dashboard and you don't need to worry about anything. What do you need to do personally? Review your pricing strategy, how the VAT is going to affect your customers, especially in the EU, because you will increase a little bit the VAT. So your services will be a little bit more expensive. If you are planning on distributing profit or dividends, take into account the increased corporate income tax, just to measure the money that you need to pay in taxes, and prepare for the quarterly security tax. In other countries where you have to pay based on profit, there's always this advice, a good piece of advice, to keep a small amount of money in your bank account, just to be sure that you can pay for the taxes of your profit. So that's a very good advice in this situation. It's just at 2%, so it's a very small amount. And of course, update your financial forecasts and all the information that you need. And I already mentioned how we can support you. And I would like to emphasize or announce that we have this new service called Companion, which is a service for customers who need a helping hand with their finances and invoices and bank accounts and everything. And it's kind of a personal accountant working for you, but also working with our team. So it's like a personalized kind of accountant and financial advisor in your pocket or in your team. So if you're more interested in knowing more about this service, don't hesitate to contact our customer support team and we can give you more details about it. And yeah, I think that's all. I don't know if you have any question. Pablo would like to, in case you have a company in other legislations, especially in Spain or in other countries in the EU, Pablo can comment if these changes in Estonia will affect you, your activity, not your Estonian company, but your activity in these other legislations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a common. I think that it will be a common question from now. And no, the answer is no. It doesn't affect anything related to the physical owner of the company. In what else the country is, neither Spain, neither France, etc. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you both very much. We're gonna open the Q&A session now. We have a couple questions already from our attendees, so thank you very much. I'll start with the first one I apologize for mispronouncing the name, but from Tamisuddin Sayed, that he says, when is it mandatory to have a VAT number? And also, while providing services to non-EU customers, should we raise invoice with 24% VAT?
Okay, so if your customers are not in the EU, it's not mandatory for you to have a VAT number, and it's not even recommended for you to have a VAT number. So if your customers are non-EU customers, don't worry, you don't need to increase your invoice in anything. It's mandatory to have a VAT number if your sales to EU customers in Europe, in the European Union, go over 40,000 euros per year. So if you get to this threshold, you need to apply for a VAT number, and then this change in VAT affects you. If not, if your customers are outside of the EU, I won't recommend you to have a VAT number especially.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the quick answer. Next one is from Jody van der Westhuizen, and she says, regarding the VAT, at the moment we are exempt from charging VAT if our revenue is less than 40,000 per year. Has this limit also changed?
That's a very good question. No, the limit hasn't changed. So it's still 40,000 euros. So if you are below that threshold, you don't really need to have a VAT number if you don't want to.
Perfect. And then we have a couple comments from some anonymous attendees. First one says that 2% seems like a significant amount given that VAT and corporate taxes are also jumping 2% each.
It may seem like a significant amount, but if you think about it, other countries in the EU have super high rates. Like Spain starts at 24 or 25%, if I'm not wrong. Pablo can confirm that. So that means that in Spain, for 100,000 euros in profit, you will pay 25,000 euros in taxes. And in Estonia, you will pay 2,000 euros in taxes. So that's, I will not call that a significant amount, really. It's an amount, it's increasing from zero, but it's not that significant, in my opinion.
Okay, well, thank you for the insight anyway. The next one is from Raul Plaza. He says, the 24% VAT tax is applied if my customers are companies. For example, I am a company that send an invoice to another company like Mercadona, for example, or Indra. Should I pay the 24% VAT tax in that case?
That is applied to my customer companies. No, well, the VAT rate, when you are invoicing a company in the EU that has VAT number, if you are VAT liable, meaning you have a VAT number, you apply 0% tax, reverse charge to the invoice. In reality, what's happening is that you are applying 24%. The VAT is the VAT, right? So you are applying this 24%, but it's under the hood. It's like directly between Estonia and the country of your customer. Imagine that your customer is Mercadona in Spain, you mentioned, or Indra, right? And they have VAT numbers for sure. So if your company has a VAT number and this company has a VAT number, your invoice will be 0% VAT. So it will not affect you in any way. And as everything happens under the hood, for you, it will be transparent. You will not pay this VAT and you will not get it back or vice versa.
Perfect. Well, I think that was pretty clear. And last question, it's more of again of an information input from an anonymous that says one thing that they will remove as well is the 14% reduced rate dividend tax, 14/76, which we forgot to mention and is something important. And I would like to give you the floor for this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a very good point. There used to be a reduced dividend tax rate, which was 40% if you distributed, but this really didn't affect e-residents much because this only worked if you distributed dividends for 3 years in a row, and the shareholders were corporate shareholders. So if you were like a company receiving dividends from your Estonian companies, we don't support that. So we only work with individuals as shareholders. So in that case, this didn't affect really our customers. But it's true that this reduced rate has been removed too. So there's no longer this exception. So it's always 22/78%. Yes.
Okay, and we have one last question. Remember, everybody, that you still have time to send more questions to Pablo and Ignacio. And it says, another anonymous, not relevant to this discussion, but could you connect on claiming VAT back from company purchases from the UK resellers with GB VAT numbers? Is this something that we can help with, or do we need to fill in the UK form ourselves? It's a bit specific from the UK.
Yeah, that's a good question. We are able to help you claim your VAT from other EU countries. For example, imagine that you buy something in Spain or in Germany, and for some reason the company there adds VAT to the invoice, but they have a VAT number, so this is incorrect, right? The invoice is incorrect, but you pay this VAT. You have no choice, and you pay this VAT. You have paid VAT to this country, and this country owes your company VAT. So in that case, a company can help you at the end of the year. You can we apply for you once a year, and you get this VAT back. In the case of UK, I'm not 100% sure right now, but if you have a GB VAT number that is compatible with the EU standards, so it can be claimed in the same way as any other EU VAT, of course, we will be able to help with that.
Okay, well, thank you, Ignacio, for the specific answer. We have another one from Raul about dividends. Could I send them, excuse me, to another country that is not the country where I live? For example, I live in Spain. Could I send my dividends to an account in the UK or Germany instead of sending them to my bank account in Spain? Or is it mandatory to send the dividends to Spain because I live there?
It's not mandatory to send your dividends to a bank that is in your country of residence. It is mandatory to send the dividends to an account that is, or a bank account that is yours. I mean, you are the account holder, right? The bank account holder. That means that you can send it to an account that you have in the UK or in Germany, but you cannot send them to an account that your friend has in Germany or in Spain or in any other place. As long as you are the owner of the account, that's totally fine, because you, as a tax resident in Spain, I understand, you are liable to pay taxes for all your revenue and all your money in all the countries in the world, right? It doesn't matter if you have the money in a bank account in Germany or in the UK, you will have to pay taxes for them. So it doesn't matter as long as the account is yours.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ignacio. We're gonna give obviously one few more seconds to anybody that wants to have any more questions. We added a couple of links to some of our blog posts with more specific related information regarding taxation and your specific doubts. And at the moment, this is the end of the questions that we received. So we're well, want to thank you for being here. Oh, we got a new one from Anonymous. Can you double check with your support team about the UK VAT? I was told that Compania could not help, that we would need to apply on our own. And I can answer this myself. So for sure, we will double check with them once we finish this meeting. It was a bit too specific question maybe for this this webinar, but we will look it up for sure. Yes.
Yeah, it all depends, because before Brexit, for sure, in the UK was in the EU, so there was a very standard procedure for that. But after Brexit, it depends on the status of the bilateral agreement between the UK and the EU.
We have one more comment that says HMRC VAT refunds for overseas businesses. This will affect the changes that we're talking about.
I'm not sure about this question.
If you could expand a little bit,
yeah,
we would appreciate it. But yeah, thank you all for the questions. We of course will wait a bit more to see if we get the expanded question, this last one about HMRC VAT refunds. But let me reiterate, we want to thank everybody for the time you took, and just remind you that our support agents are always there for any doubts like this, and that we will be uploading this Q&A session in our YouTube. So if you want to go back to a specific question, it should be there in the coming future. And well, thank you very much for being here. It seems that we are not getting... Okay, yeah, I just updated, yeah. The question about the HMRC was about from Rafael, and he says the HMRC is related to the UK thing, just sending as FYI, which is highly appreciated. So thank you, Rafael. Thank you very much for helping us respond the questions. If
we will be sharing the recording, right? It's in YouTube.
We will be share it in our social media, yeah, on YouTube. We will post both the full webinar plus some shorts with the questions that are more valuable. We'll just have to need a bit of time to finish editing the recording. But yes, it's gonna be there. So thank you for being here, and hope to see you soon again in either our agent support or through our platform. And thanks Ignacio and Pablo for being here and taking the time. This was very important information that we wanted to share with you. And as always, we are here for any other question and doubts, and don't hesitate to reach out to any of our channels. And I think we can finish it here. And again, thank you all for your attention and for your time, and have you all a lovely afternoon.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Goodbye.